This is one of my next days in Costa Rica. Yesterday I went with Arnoldo, today I'm with his friend Alvaro. And he's a bird guide as well. We will search for owls today and lots of other species in his area in Orotina. And we're quite late, but it was a very windy night. And I had to get here as well somehow. It was the first time driving for me in the tropics. Wish us luck, and let's see what we'll get today.
On my trips, I rarely get to see owls, let alone filming them. But today should get the owliest day of my life. The dry, heavily degraded former forest here didn't look much promising. But we went to different locations around Orotina today, and Alvaro is the one and only owl expert from Costa Rica. I was eager to see and film the lesser ground cuckoo, but first we filmed another cuckoo. This is the medium-sized striped cuckoo with its bushy crest that's clearly visible when erected, like at the moment it discovered us as well, filming it. They occur in a wide distribution from southern Mexico to northern Argentina and occur in open country with trees or shrubs and at the edges of mangrove forests. They are described to be solitary shy species that are often more heard than seen, preferring to keep within the cover of bushes, but they do sing for more open perches. We might as well just have missed to hear this. These cuckoos are one out of 3 cuckoo species in the New World, a term used for American species, which are brood parasites. Their typical hosts are spinetails, but often also wrens and other species, which build domed nests in which they lay 1, sometimes 2 eggs. Striped cuckoos are non-migratory birds and sexes look alike. Large insects form the main part of the diet, often taken from the ground. And this ground here was the site our super cuckoo should appear.
What are you calling now, Alvaro?
Lesser ground cuckoo.
Ooh. So we are still in this really dry forest, which means we have a wet and a dry season. This is the dry season now, but for me it's the first time in a dry forest in Latin America, and it's really quiet. So honestly, I wouldn't find any bird at all, but my guide, who is just filming me, Alvaro, he's just very good in finding all the birds here, and I'm very happy to have filmed something special for you, which you can find in this book, and it's called the common pauraque. I'm not so sure how to pronounce it, but it's some kind of night swallow, and you see it here. And I will find out some more info about it for you guys soon. We got very close to the river. I didn't know what I was seeing, what always was flushing when we passed by. A really good found, because in Europe I haven't seen the one that we have, the nightjar, at all, ever. It's on here. Let's have a look at the video.
This common pauraque is sitting so still and camouflaged on the ground that I would never have found it, and anything could just happen around it, most likely, without affecting it, like this leaf cutter ant that's just climbing this obstacle with its cutted leaf. These nightjars are the most common nightjars throughout much of their range, which extends from southern Texas throughout Central America to South America. This night-active bird typically roosts on the ground at daytime and won't move a bit, except for its eyelids. At night it often roosts on the streets. It actually benefits from limited deforestation. Logging creates areas of low and secondary growth in which these birds are able to hunt more efficiently on night-active beetles and other insects. But in contrary, it's more vulnerable in logged areas to feral cats and dogs then, which might totally wipe out their local populations. Surprisingly, there's still a big lack of data for these common species, like population trends, and even subspecies are unstudied. It seems to be found more on the ground than other nightjars. and when it's disturbed by humans at daytime, it might rather walk away than flying. But our bird here made these typical jumps and circling sallies in the area that Alvaro was searching for them. Unusual for this bird group is the help of the male with incubating the eggs.
I see this beautiful Costa Rican owl, the spectacled owl. It's definitely the first time I'm able to film it in 4K. There is a pair here and the one that I'm filming. You can see approximately like 10 meters from here.
This is already the second time I'm filming this species. On my first visit to Costa Rica, I have already filmed the family spectacled owls at Heliconias Island near Sarapiqui. It generally occurs throughout the tropical regions of Latin America, from southern Mexico to northern Argentina, and occurs in Costa Rica in its subspecies form chapmani. That's defined by different underpart colorization and patterning. The chapmani has its range from the Caribbean slope of Costa Rica south to Colombia, western Ecuador and northwest Peru. It's a common resident in many kinds of lowland tropical forests with major trees, such as rainforests, savanna woodlands and dry forests up to 1,500 meters. These nocturnal owls are foraging primarily on vertebrates. A wide array of mammals is taken. They may eat almost anything that is nocturnally active, and it has been even recorded to kill an adult three-toed sloth. Other than mammals, it could also be frogs and reptiles, but even birds like doves, motmots, jays and oropandalas, as well as insects and crustaceans like crabs, on which it preys on. Surprisingly, little human babies are not on their list. Well, most of these may sleep at night. It nests in a large tree cavity and may lay 1 to 2, rarely 3 eggs, of which usually only one chick survives. The other one is starving of starvation or dying of consequences of the aggression of the larger nestling. A good bird for a little horror movie, but don't they just look beautiful? The eggs are being brooded by the female alone, and the young owl stays with its parents for up to 1 year after fledging, in which it's still being fed by them. The young birds may breed themselves, though, already, while being still in their immature plumage, since it may take up to 5 years before full adult plumage is obtained.
Alvaro, we are on our way to see what interesting birds? What is here?
Common potoo.
The Pootoo. And Alvaro is now with
Ricardo, los voy a llevar a buscar el Pootoo. Es una especie un poco difícil de observar y encontrar durante el día.
See, it's very difficult to see. I've never seen it in my life, only loved all the photos. So vámonos!
It's a bit a bummer when you're back home and realize when editing your films that you have filmed a bird which you have never seen before and thought you already did so numerous times, and then the short video material is crappy. Exactly this happened to me with this amazing turquoise-browed motmot. It exists in 7 subspecies forms, and the australis is the one in Costa Rica, occurring from southwest Nicaragua to northwest Costa Rica. It's one of the most abundant motmots and often seen perching on open wires or fences. Unlike most birds where males have more extraordinary feathers, these unique rocket tail feathers exist with both sexes. They live in different, mainly drier forest types and prey on insects, spiders, millipedes, earthworms, small mollusks and small lizards and snakes, but do also eat some fruits as well. Their tails are used in courtship, but also in the presence of a predator, in which a pair might signalize by wagging their tails in a certain way that the predator has been detected, and so that its possible pursuit will not result in capture.
And we found the Pootoo. It's up there in the tree. It's really amazing. It's a huge bird. He's holding the tree for me that I can film because we have a lot of wind. And have a look how beautiful it is.
Finally, I get to see a Pootoo. It's the common potoo, a nocturnal bird that occurs in tropical Central and South America, and the subspecies panamensis is the one found in Costa Rica. It's related to other nightjars and frogmouse, but lacks the bristles around its mouth. It's a resident breeder in open woodland and savanna and plantations with trees, which avoids cooler mountain regions, so it rarely occurs over 1,900 meters, but also avoids arid regions. The wind today has been still very strong, so the dead tree stump this potoo was perching on was swinging heavily in the wind, without a movement of the bird. If it might be disturbed by larger mammals like marmosets, it might get active to chase them away. But there's variable reactions on humans approaching it. It might quickly fly away, or might just open its beak to look more scary, or might as well just sit still, even when breeding and being touched by us. Same for the chicks. I, though, always rather go filming birds from a safe distance to not disturb them. Unless they're tame garden birds like the curassows. It's mainly insectivorous and hunts from a perch like a shrike or flightcatcher. It only lays one single white egg with lilac spots on a depression on a tree limb. And also the little chicks look like little tree stumps and perch upright like the adults do.
I was just told that all the land we're on here is an organical farm with all kind of fruiting trees. It's mainly about mandarins and aguacates, so avocados, and everything is fully natural. Even the grass isn't cut, it's eaten by cows from a farmer, and they're using no pesticides. So yeah, very nice place to see, and that this is possible on such a big scale.
This is the day filming night-active birds at daytime, which resulted in non-activity at all, but at least the wind helped me shaking out some movements of these birds. But you rather don't want to hear the disturbed sound of my videos made by the wind. Here I'm filming the lesser nighthawk for you, one out of the 7 subspecies. This one is the littoralis, confined to southern Mexico, south to Costa Rica and possibly Panama. They live in all kind of open country, including deserts, and catch flying insects on wing, mainly at dusk or dawn, or with full moon nights, and often near street lightning. Usually they nest on ground, and sometimes on raised locations as well, including tree stumps, and also close to boulders or flat house roofs. The eggs are largely incubated by the female for 20 days, and the young needs another 20 days to fledge, which is really quick. It's usually only heard near breeding areas. When disturbed by its nest, the adults flush from the nest and might try to distract the intruder or defend its nest by aerial attacks. It wasn't the best angle to film this bird against the bright sky, so I asked Alvaro if there would be more of these nighthawks around. And yes, there were. And he said it just like this was the most normal thing to find here.
We're at a very special place now.
Esto es ceiba de Orotina. Vamos a buscar la lechuza de campanario, barn owl. Ella vive aquí. Ha sido una lechuza muy fotografiada por los pajareros y amantes de las aves acá en Costa Rica.
Ok, vamos.
One of the most numerous pygmy owls of Central and South America is this Ferruginous pygmy owl. Indeed, not my first time seeing it, but definitely the closest encounter so far. This small owl exists in 12 subspecies, and the rich Y is the one found here, which range extends from southern Texas south to Panama. It's mainly crepuscular, means it's active at dusk and dawn, but often hunts by daytime as well, on a variety of birds, lizards, mammals, amphibia, and insects. It might be detected sometimes by birds mobbing it, as well as 40 birds from 11 different species have been recorded on one occasion to get it out of the tree. No wonder that you don't make many friends with your own kind if you rather eat them.
It got night, and what are we searching for, Alvaro?
Black and white owl.
Oh. Have you seen it many times here? ¿Muchas veces aquí?
So, más o menos. Pero sí, sí sale.
Es muy bonito, ¿eh?
Es muy bonito el lugar y es una lechuza muy bonita. Muy imponente, corpulenta.
At the end we got very lucky today because we found at least 3 Pacific screech owls. And you can hear them. It's not the playback which we are playing. It's the owls that are really responding to us. It's very interesting because they come very close. I already made a very nice 4K film for you. And of course I will also give you some more information about these very nice and quite huge owls. And I like their sound. So try to record some more. But what I have recorded for you, I will show you now.
Finally, I got the chance to make a proper calling owl video. We even got 2 kinds of these screech owls tonight. This one here is a Pacific one. If you might be confused with these quite 2 similar species, which we even found here on the same location, you must learn about their different calls. This screech owl here is found from extreme south of Mexico to northwest Costa Rica in the Guanacaste region, and it's the nominate form. It's a medium-sized screech owl with rather short ear tufts that seems to be fairly common in scrubby woodland and thorny forests along the edge of the Pacific slope lowlands, but it's also found in other forest types.
Muy bueno.
Surprisingly, there's just little info about these strictly nocturnal birds online, as population size, which data is fully missing. What is known is that they are mainly insectivorous and mostly prey on large insects such as beetles, katydids, moths, and some arthropods as well, like scorpions, and occasionally small rodents, and probably some vertebrates too. Okay, as promised, here is the next screech owl for you. I couldn't quite believe my luck here today. This is the tropical screech owl in its subspecies form Luctosimus, which occurs from the Pacific slope in Costa Rica south to northwest Colombia and the Pearl Islands. These polymorphic birds are highly variable in color, so it's overall gray-brown or less brown or rufous, but always with a relatively distinctive blackish edge to the face and yellow irides. It's a generally common bird in a large part of its wooded habitat range, which might be caatinga, which is a certain type of desert vegetation forest, dense rainforests and even city parks. Breeding takes place here in September. Males will start singing for the females in August. They are advertising possible nest sites to the females by flying to these trees and singing from the cavity entrances. They might use natural cavities for their nests or also abandoned bird nests, nest boxes, old woodpecker holes and even rotted out fence posts. If it's feeling threatened when brooding, it will throw itself flat on its back over the nestlings and extend its claws towards the intruder. And if they're not on their nest, they will also attack humans in flight with their claws. They mainly hunt from a low-level perch to capture prey on the ground, branches or on wing, and primarily prey on large arthropods, mainly insects, which comprise as much as 66% of their diet, and small vertebrates as well.
So we are on the mountains and calling most probably the last two owls for today. Explain us something about the two owls we find here. ¿Qué lechuzas son aquí?
Ok, aquí vamos a buscar la crested owl. Es una especie muy difícil de ver acá en Costa Rica. Y la motto owl.
So you're a specialist. You do owl tours. Someone can book you for a whole day only owling, right?
Ok, tengo un tour para lechuzas que lo empiezo de 5 de la tarde a 10 de la noche y podemos observar en un día bueno 5 o 7 tipos de lechuzas diferentes.
Qué bueno. So we're still waiting for the black and white owl to appear. We're calling it. And this is definitely one of the places to be if you want to see it. It's still warm, cozy, windy, but didn't appear yet. And the mosquitoes try to be a little bit more aggressive than daytime. So I got a little bit more bitten all over, on my face, on my feet. Ah! Next one biting me. But we didn't give up hope yet. So we're still waiting.
None of these black and white owls showed up here tonight, even after we've been calling them for a long time. But my Costa Rican trip isn't finished yet, and there are still many more birds to be discovered in lovely Costa Rica.
Oh, sí, sí.
Esa es ella, la crested owl.
Then we went down this steep shrubby slope to hopefully film the large crested owl. Here was no path, only man-sized tall plants to wiggle through. And once Alvaro had finally located the owl, I was able to make one good shot. And it said goodbye to us. So do we. See you on my next episode.